What is up, guys? This is Rise, and welcome to a video where today we are going to be going through and casting the Taiwanese Regional Championships. Gamebird TW was nice enough to entrust me with casting their run in the Taiwan Regional Championships for a spot trying to get a berth in the 2024 World Championships in Honolulu, Hawaii. Gamebird is going to be facing off against other trainers from Taiwan in a remote format. And if you are unfamiliar with the way these play Pokemon championship formats work, it is a show 6 pick 3 format. What that means is you register a team of 6 Pokemon on your team and you pick 3. You choose 3 to go into each battle. Your opponents will receive a sheet that shows them your team of 6 and also the movesets, open team sheets. So you know what movesets your opponents are running, and you go from there. It's a double elimination format. If you lose, you get into the loser's bracket and then try to fight your way back up to the winner's side. We're going to be going through Gamebird TW's battles. And Gamebird, I know the in-game avatar is a woman. I actually met Gamebird in real life last year in Yokohama, Japan, and messaged them. Gamebird is a man in real life, and so we're going to be referring to Gamebird as he in the battles, just to clear any confusion there. But Gamebird is running Skarmory, Lantern, Umbreon, Cresselia, Annihilate, and Shadow Gligar. Actually, a very similar team to the team Rise to Occasion myself used in Los Angeles. And the only differences being Dugong was the team that I used rather than Skarmory, and Cresselia is what Gamebird is using other than Wigglytuff. And those two Pokemon use a similar role, right? Cresselia has that Fairy-type coverage with Moonblast, something that can deal with fighters, and then Skarmory, that anti-Gligar type Pokemon. Going up against Thomas here in this first round matchup, Thomas running a unique team with Trevenant, Lantern, Wigglytuff, Skarmory, Vigoroth, and Swampert, which you don't see as much anymore as opposed to Whiscash. So Swampert is looking pretty good against this team, only really afraid of the Cresselia. Trevenant is looking like it could be a little bit annoying to deal with, right? Beats 3 Pokemon very hard on Gamebird's team with the Lantern, the Cress, and the Annihilate. Just some analysis there. And one final note before we get into these battles, this is pre-Lantern nerf. So these battles are a little bit dated, like maybe 3 or so weeks ago. Took me a little bit to get to these, so apologies to Gamebird since I'm a little bit behind after some travels. But here we are now. Gamebird, Taiwan Regional. Let's get underway. Game number 1 against Thomas here. Thomas 6-6L. And it's going to be a Skarmory into a Wigglytuff. Terrific lead to start things off for Gamebird. And we see the Swampert save swap met by Annihilate. Now, this is a matchup that Annihilate should be able to dictate. Calls the Hydro Cannon, that's big, and actually going directly for the Shadow Ball. Now, if this goes unshielded, which it does, it's going to knock out, and immediately Gamebird has kept the switch advantage and done it without really at the cost of anything. And if you're Gamebird, you go in straight away. Notice they did not wait the switch timer. Sometimes trainers are told, right, in the basics, the fundamentals of PvP, always wait out your switch clock. Not always. Sometimes when your opponent's locked in a bad matchup, you go in straight away, and now it's going to be Lantern on Lantern. You are behind a Spark, so that is a little bit of a cause for concern that you are behind energy. However, the Skarmory has energy still in the back. So also the successful shield of the Thunderbolt is huge for Gamebird. That is going to be really significant. However, Thomas calls the Surf Bait, and Thomas still has both shields to hide behind. So Thomas is somehow going to have to eliminate this Lantern on Gamebird's side and still have enough health to deal with the Skarmory. Now Thomas has taken 2 Surfs, still has both shields, but I don't know. Oh, and now we see the Surf called by Gamebird. But now I think if you're Gamebird, all you have to do is just invest 1 shield, and the Sparks alone are probably going to be enough to get rid of this opposing Lantern. No, still going to let it go. It's a Thunderbolt. This is a little bit sketchy now. Going for the Sky Attack. Sky Attack coming through. Will this draw the final Protect shield? It does. Gets to another Sky Attack before Lantern can deliver a Charge Attack. And I don't believe the Wigglytuff is going to reach a charge attack before getting Steel Wing down. GG, credit to the opponent for making it close out of a tough lead. But Gamebird secures game 1 and straight into game number 2. Here we go. Cresselia versus Lantern. This is a solid matchup for Cresselia. 2 Grass Knots plus the Psycho Cuts. Just about knockout. Yeah, double Grass Knot, I should say. Plus Psycho Cut damage. Just about knocks out Lantern. And as you're going to see, because it's just neutral damage coming from the Lantern, the bulky Cresselia can withstand the Thunderbolt quite well. Over farming, and in comes that Wigglytuff. Very bold play by Thomas, I must say. Swapping the Wigglytuff when you know there's a Skarmory on the opposing side is a very bold decision. But Thomas went for it. And now Gligar is going to overfarm quite a bit. Look at that massive overfarm, eventually going for the Aerial Ace to threaten the knockout here, and does knock out the Wigglytuff. Now, how do you deal with all this energy on the Gligar if you're Thomas? Is there a Skarmory? No. Lantern comes in, and this dig will threaten to knock out the Lantern. Oh my goodness. Grabs the Protect Shield. Lantern's going to have to fire off a Surf here shortly, and Gligar's going to invest the shield. Gligar wants to stick around. Like, Gligar wants to force some issues, and Gligar is going to fire off another dig on what looks to be a charge attack priority. Wasn't convinced the Aerial Ace would knock out, being resisted, so goes for the dig, knocks out, and this Swampert just has no fast attack pressure. Does throw in the charge attack priority, and is going to invest a Protect Shield to get off the move here. Gligar looking fierce. Going to get off the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to grab the Protect Shield from Swampert and gets off another Aerial Ace here. Now, here's the thing. This is a non-Shadow Swampert. It's going to take the move better. I don't think an Earthquake is going to one-shot KO the Lantern. I think Lantern's bulk will endure an Earthquake from a non-Shadow Swampert, and it does just barely hang on. Reaches the Surf. This will knock out the Swampert, and a 3-ball flex for Gamebird here to take the set 2-0 against Thomas. So we say farewell to Thomas, and we say hello to Sausage487. Quick team overview for Sausage, running that Charjabug, Shadow Whiscash, Altaria, Skarmory, Vigoroth, and Shadow Sableye. Now, Shadow Sableye, a Pokemon that could cause some issues because it does very well against the Cresselia, very well against the Annihilape, neutral against Skarm, Lantern, Gligar. So this might lure Gamebird into bringing that Umbreon. Now, Umbreon has to be a little bit worried about the Vigoroth, a little bit worried about the Charjabug. Those aren't the worst matchups in the world, but not ideal for the Umbreon. Shadow Whiscash looks relatively safe, only really afraid of Cresselia. So I see a lot of neutral play here. Lucky for Gamebird, it does have that Annihilape as a hard check to Vigoroth. We know Vigoroth can be so safe in this meta, but having that Annihilape as a hard check is very helpful, where opponents cannot freely safe swap it on you without risk of that punishment. Altaria looks pretty good as well. A lot of Pokemon on the team from Sausage really only have one hard check and have play against everything else. So without further ado, round number 2. Gamebird against Sausage487. Here we go. Best of 3. And it's going to be the Shadows taking the field to start things off. Gligar versus the Shadow Sableye, and going directly for the Aerial Ace, and not going to bother building up to the dig. Wants to pressure straight away and lands the Aerial Ace. The problem here is you cannot wing attack down before the next foul play, so you may be forced to throw another Aerial Ace here, and that's what we're going to see occur. Gamebird throws the Aerial Ace. Does Sausage put up a Protect Shield in return? No. Just willing to take the shield advantage. Comes in with Skarm, and oh my gosh, Gamebird went with a hard ABA weak to Skarmory line, so is going to have to sacrifice the Gligar here to make sure they get the alignment with Lantern on the Skarmory. So Skarmory's going to come out with so much energy. However, that energy is not going to be of great use, and now this is going to come down to whether this Whiscash up a shield is going to be able to deal with this Cresselia plus the Lantern. Oh my goodness gracious. Grass Knot coming through. grabs that first shield from Whiscash. Whiscash going to be building up to that Scald. And shields are now down for Cresselia. I don't think double Scald is quite enough. I wonder if there's any reason to maybe go for double Mud Bomb here. But, you know, shields are now down. I don't think there's no way you get to double Mud Bomb. You almost have to combo play here with the Scarm if the switch timer is available. Oh, but predicts the combo play. Predicts the combo play. And now I think the only win condition for Sausage is if somehow the Whiscash can double up on Mud Bomb. Because Cresselia is like one away from Grass Knot, so the Whiscash is going to have to get within one of double Mud Bomb, and I just don't see that happening. I think the Whiscash does not have enough energy. You see the next Surf is going to knock out, and the Whiscash had to commit to more energy. Not going to get there. Lantern is going to defeat the Whiscash here and secure game 1 for Game Bird. Another win would advance Game Bird to the next round. Sausage going to try and even up the series here. Umbreon making an appearance into Charge Bug. Not ideal for Umbreon, but Umbreon can actually win the Zero Shield matchup here, believe it or not, because it can withstand 2 X-Scissors and then outpace Charge Bug to a third foul play. So Umbreon can win the Zero Shield scenario here. Game Bird might be willing to play to that scenario. Let's see how this plays out. Going to throw after 1 Snarl. That's the proper timing. That's 3 turns versus 4 turns. That's ideally when you want to throw that foul play. And now we're going to see Charge Bug throwing on alignment. Not the ideal timing. Not the ideal timing. So this is giving extra energy to Game Bird. And now Game Bird is going to get off this next foul play. And like we talked about, going to be able to win the Zero Shield scenario if that's how this, and that's how it's going to play out. So Umbreon just straight up beating Charge Bug in the Zero Shields. And Sausage looks content losing the Zero Shields in exchange for getting a Mud Shot down with Whiscash. And this time there's no Cresselia in the back. So this energy from Whiscash is even more valuable. What do you come in with? It's got to be Annihilate, right? Yeah, it comes in with Annihilate. More fast attack pressure. If there's a Skarmory in the back, that could be really devastating, though. Does get debuffed by the Scald. Another charge attack coming through. Tough to go down 2 shields in this scenario, but is going to be willing to go down 2 shields. Unbelievable. It is the Skarm. And to be frank, I don't see a way out of this for Game Bird unless you maybe get a boost here, but no boost. And yeah, catches a Sky Attack. Nice catch there. But Skarmory just looking so powerful here, especially up 2 Protect shields. Can simply overfarm. A Dig is coming through. May as well invest a Protect shield at some point. Could let it go as well. Yeah, that's fine. The wing attacks are not threatening. Skarmory going to overfarm. And I think overfarmed enough where it should still reach a Sky Attack against the Annihilate before getting countered down. Annihilate's got a lot of energy. Going to try and commit to the counter down for some sort of win con, but it's not going to happen. Skarmory flying high in the sky. Knocks out Annihilate with the Sky Attack. Decisive game 3 on the way. Here we go. Pressure starting to mount. Who will stay on the winner's side of the bracket? Where things are a little bit easier. Things are a little bit less pressurized. Game Bird versus Sausage. Game Bird locked in already. Sausage maybe still taking a moment to think about things. And you can't blame him. I don't think I mentioned, or maybe I did at the start, top 2 trainers from this tournament earn a spot at the World Championships in Honolulu, Hawaii. Bit of a different format than some of you may be used to seeing and spectating here in our North American circuit, where we have in-person tournaments and it's more of a championship point system. So some people get that guaranteed invite from winning a regional. So they also have that here, but we also have a point system. So from participating in local tournaments and attaining points from tournaments all over the place, you can reach that championship point threshold and eventually get your invite over time. But it seems like it's more of a tournament by tournament basis and strictly based off placing for a lot of these APAC regions. So a little bit more pressure. A little bit less opportunity. But here we go. Decisive game 3. It's going to be Umbreon versus Shadow Sableye. Exactly where the Umbreon wanted to be against that Shadow Sableye. And this is a very favorable matchup for the Cresselia, of course. Scald, no debuff either. So the Grass Knot will threaten to one-shot here. And you have to presume Sausage will have to start investing Protect Shields to try and make this more uncomfortable of a situation for Cresselia. Scald coming through. Will grab a shield from Cress, so at least that's something. Scald does get the attack drop. And will we see both shields come up from Sausage trying to dance around? Maybe stall the switch timer? No, doesn't shield. It does get off another charge attack, though. So we'll be able to maybe soft lose this matchup. The problem is, if you come in with Sableye here, you're going to have to eat a Moonblast. And that is not going to feel good at all. Sableye, I know it's debuffed, but this super effective, hard-hitting Moonblast is still going to hurt. Puts it well below half health. Doesn't get that much farm either. And this just looks like such a commanding position. And oh no, it is over. That is all she wrote. If this is one of those games where you almost could not have lined up a perfect 3 in order against those 3 against your opponent. The only thing that would have been maybe more RPS would be Annihilate against Vigoroth at some point. But an unfortunate way to go down for Sausage, as that just seemed like a very rock, paper, scissors, as they say, type game 3. But nice team call for Gamebird. And that's going to move Gamebird on to the next round on the winner's side, where they're going to take on the next opponent. We are Venom. Let's try and get the teams up here. We are Venom rocking a regular Whiscash. Now, normally we see the Shadow variant. Personally, I tend to be a fan of that Shadow Whiscash. Hits a little bit harder. 2-shot Skarmory with the Scald, I think, is very valuable. Regular Whiscash has some benefits as well. Of course, the bulk generally can be, when you're dancing around, sometimes can be valuable just in terms of living more moves. Charger Bug is a matchup where regular Whiscash can be more beneficial, because if you're expecting a lot of Charger Bug, you can withstand 2 X-scissors a lot more comfortably than a Shadow Whiscash. Charger Bug can make that more uncomfortable for Shadow Whiscash. So that's one matchup I know particular, Charger Bug, where regular Whiscash is a little bit better. I'm not super familiar in terms of other scenarios where people like to prefer the regular Whiscash. I'd have to brush up more on that. But going with the regular, and then Shadow Dragonair, probably the more unique pick on this team. Very neutral pick against a lot of the meta. If you look at the matchups against Gamebird's team, only really afraid of the Skarmory, has play against everything else. Even the Cresselia, I mean, you're going to be chunking away with Dragon Breaths, neutral Body Slam, and unless shields are down, Dragonair can make that very uncomfortable for Cress. Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz only afraid of the Lantern, has play against everything else, and the Annihilate really does not want to see that Mandibuzz one bit, because it has no charge attack pressure, gets completely walled by that Dark typing with that Night/Shadow Ball coverage. So, cool team from We Are Venom. Let's see how they stack up against Gamebird. I'm going to take a sip of my non-sponsored energy drink. It's not an official cast, so we can be a little bit silly sometimes, even if we're dressed up. Game 1, Skarmory into Whiscash. Now, I will say one benefit of regular Whiscash is, in this matchup, you're really not as threatened by the Brave Bird. So you're not as inclined to shield in this matchup if you're Whiscash. But the problem is the double Scald doesn't KO. You're going to need like Scald plus Mud Bomb probably to knock out. And we see a charge attack actually get shielded. It was just a Sky attack, I believe. Another charge attack coming through from Whiscash. We saw a debuff on that first one. And 2 debuffs. Then the hard pivot into Mandibuzz. I don't necessarily agree with this play from We Are Venom. You got 2 debuffs. I feel like you're in the driver's seat there. Force the Skarmory to throw energy at you while it's double debuffed, or make them give up switch. But now you're giving up switch. You're just doing your opponent a favor, right? You're allowing them to secure the Lantern against the Mandibuzz. The only way I could maybe see this strategy panning out is if you have your own Skarmory in the back. So you're trying to lure out the Lantern. So you clean it up with the Whiscash here. And then maybe you're setting up your Skarmory for success in the back. If that's what Venom is setting up. I think that could be a really high IQ play. Oh, but we see the combo play. And look at this. The energy stored is going to get the final Protect Shield from this Whiscash. And all of a sudden, this looks awfully scary. Still both shields to hide behind and reaches a Sky Attack. How devastating for Venom. Game Bird is gaming all right. Knocks out. It is the Skarmory as we expected. But the strategy, although was very sound in practice, in execution, it just didn't really prevail because Game Bird kind of saw it through, was able to preserve that Lantern and actually win game one without even using a shield and without even revealing the third Pokemon. Game two, Cress into Whiscash, amazing lead. Game Bird has been getting a lot of leads, and you know, some people like to make their comments. Pokemon Go PvP can be luck sometimes, and like in any game, there can be some sort of chance element, of course. But I think that in the end, as we see the Dragonair come in, are they going to respect the Moonblast? Oh, they're not going to respect the Moonblast. And Cresselia is absolutely going to town. Knocks out the Dragonair. And what does Venom do? Comes in with the Skarm, but they're switch locked. And oh, this is just one of those sets that I think Venom's going to want to forget about, try and put in the rearview mirror. Bit of a tough set here for Venom, but just very well played by Game Bird. Just a dominant performance. And I think in this game, of course, there's going to be a luck element like in all the Pokemon games. To my limited knowledge of VG and TCG, there's also a luck element in those games, right? And you just got to maximize with what's in your control and the mind games and the game plan and the technical mastery of timing and making calls and that sort of thing. So in the end, yeah, there is going to be some sort of chances, of course, but you got to master what's in your control. And right now, Game Bird is really mastering these team compositions and making the reads. Did not succumb to the ABB strategy from Venom in that game one. Saw it all the way through, read it like a book. And now Game Bird finds themselves against Vincent in what I believe is the winners finals. So here we go. Game Bird against Vincent. Winners finals. Still a best of three. These are all going to be best of threes. And Game Bird against Vincent. We see Whiscash Lantern, so double water, as well as Lickitung making an appearance for the first time, I believe, in this video. Skarmory, Annihilate, and Altaria. Double water, double flyer. Which makes sense, right? Because if you got that double grass weakness, you've got two things that cover grass. There is no grass on Game Bird's team, however. The Whiscash, of course, we've talked about. Looks solid. The Lantern looks solid against Game Bird's team if it avoids Cresselia. So we may be seeing a lot of Cresselia action because it's really only afraid of Skarmory. And then Lickitung, of course, kind of a soft check to Cresselia. So here we go. Game Bird versus Vincent. I also like that Altaria for Vincent. You also have to think about bringing the Skarmory every game because of how good Cress looks for Game Bird, but then you also run the risk of Skarmory on Lantern. So just tons of mind games going on. Winners finals. Game Bird versus Vincent. Who you got, chat? Who you got? Well, this isn't live. This is a YouTube video. So I should say comment section rather than chat, technically. Game Bird versus Vincent. And we see Cresselia versus Lickitung. Immediate Umbreon pivot. And how interesting is that? Immediately pivots the Umbreon in a slightly negative matchup. Because if you look at Vincent's team, no dark resistance. That's crazy. Like, imagine if someone ran, like, Foul Play Dark Pulse because they suspected a lot of their opponents wouldn't have any dark resistance on their teams. That would be, like, insane. There's no way you could get away with that, right? But anyway, Umbreon versus Altaria. Umbreon with Foul Play can make this matchup uncomfortable. Successfully shields the Moonblast. And now you just so significantly outpace the Altaria. Look how low you've gotten it. Altaria will reach a Moonblast here. I think Umbreon can withstand a Moonblast, but it will put it quite low. Yeah, puts it into the red. And Umbreon actually forces the Altaria to give up Switch. And now suddenly, you've got your Cresselia lined up against the Whiscash as opposed to the Lickitung. And you get debuffed. And this is weird. Because although you're in a good matchup here, it's a non-Shadow Whiscash. Oh, they're investing shields. This is really interesting. It's going to be Lickitung against Lantern in the back. Debuffed again. I think you let this go if you're the opponent. It's not going to do... Wow, they shield again. I don't like the shield. Oh, lag. Okay. And I did get a note about this. Whiscash missing some mud shots here. We see... Looks like we're back. And Whiscash is going to knock out the Cresselia with a Scald here. Has the foul play loaded. It looks like Whiscash didn't get a mud shot there either. Foul play is going to knock out. And now you've got Lantern up a shield against Lickitung. Normally a slightly, favorable matchup for Lickitung. However, up a shield, this is going to be very favorable for Lantern. Even got an extra spark there with the attempted catch on the Altaria. That was probably an only potential win con. Going to maybe put up a Protect Shield here. And does successfully shield the Power Whip. That's big and should secure this victory here in game number 1. So, Thunderbolt coming through. Going to nearly knock out Lickitung. And secures the win. However, I did get a note in this submission from GameBird, and I believe how this is going to play out is because of the lag that we saw in that frozen Whiscash missing out on several mud shots, this game was sent to a review to the judges and was actually deemed a rematch. So that first game there you saw is actually going to be void, and this is now back to a 0-0 here in the winners finals. So that game didn't count. Back to a rematch. This is essentially now game number 1 in the winners finals. GameBird versus Vincent 0-0. So here we go. Cresselia, Lickitung, same leads. And it looks like the same lines. And this time, going to save swap the Lantern instead. Going to farm up. And maybe there's no Whiscash in the back this time. So I wonder, they may have agreed same leads, but not necessarily same backlines. Oh, there is a Whiscash. Okay. So I have to say, I don't necessarily agree with the way Vincent played this. In my opinion, you just go straight Whiscash. I don't really understand building up so much for the Power Whip and then going Whiscash, because now Lantern has all this energy. And the Scald as well. I have to say, I think these are some obscure plays. I haven't seen that before. I know people love to go for the debuff, but I have to say, I don't necessarily agree with Scalding in the Whiscash Lantern matchup. I think you go for Mud Bomb there always. And now we're going to see the Thunderbolt. Obviously not always. There could be like an obscure situation where maybe the Scald would make more sense. But when you're just trying to secure alignment, I think, because now all of a sudden, you have your Lickitung. You've lost switch advantage. Now you have the Lickitung lined up against the Umbreon in the back. And this looks really tough now for Vincent. So now Moonblast coming through for Cresselia. And the Moonblast is going to grab the Final Protect Shield and gets the debuff. How devastating. Gonna bank a Moonblast for later. Swaps in the Umbreon. And what started off as a negative situation has suddenly flipped on its head. And that looks like an incredibly positive situation for GameBird here, with Umbreon on Lickitung up a shield and a Moonblast banked for a Altaria that's probably just about in Moonblast range. So I don't see a way out of this anymore for Vincent. And yeah, I'm just really curious about that play. I wonder if it's like the nerves of being in the winners finals, just kind of overthinking things. But yeah, really curious plays to me there in that secondary matchup situation. I don't want to harp on it too much, but I just don't really understand the thought process there. And we're going to see the combo play here. Cresselia should be able to withstand anything that the Altaria can throw, but going to shield just to be safe. And then going to fire off the Moonblast. I think Moonblast should just about knock out Altaria from here. Super effective damage. Knocks it out. and going to reach the grass knot here, deliver the knockout blow. And this is like the game 1 win for Game Bird against Vincent here, and that is a GG. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is just overthinking it in the moment. I think that's what we attribute that to. Annihilate, Mirror Match, my least favorite matchup because it's so bait dependent. It's so difficult to not shield this, but at the same time, you know it's almost always the Night Slash bait. So it's so difficult to no shield. Successfully gets the Night Slash bait. Going to shield as well. I couldn't really tell. I couldn't really see the animation well. Was that the Shadow Ball? Oh, catch. I can't read Mandarin, I believe it is. You can make fun of me if I'm wrong. I believe they speak Mandarin in Taiwan. Night Slash coming through. And this is fine. This is totally fine. I mean, they caught the Shadow Ball, but if you're catching a Shadow Ball on a Whisk Cash, that's totally fine. And this is going to set up Cresselia very nicely for a Psycho Cut down. However, now you're locked against Skarmory. So this could pose some trouble for Game Bird. Skarmory is going to be able to be locked in this matchup for a while. Should come out with some energy. I think you can get away with maybe Sky attacking once and getting a full farm down. Coming out with a ton of energy. Cresselia may reach another charge attack if that's what you do. But I think that's totally fine. Because another charge attack is not super threatening to the Skarm. And if Cresselia banks the move, that could have been another story. But instead, Cresselia is electing to throw it here. I think banking the move might have been the better option for Cresselia. Since you already know it's an Annihilate, right? Gonna come in with the Skarm to absorb this energy. This makes sense. But this opposing Annihilate has a lot of energy banked, right? Going straight for the Night Slash. The opponent should know this is just the Night Slash. They don't need to shield. And they do. Call the Night Slash. Another charge attack coming through from Vincent. And it is the Shadow Ball. I've lost track of Vincent's energy, to be honest. But they still have a shield to hide behind, correct? So they can actually shield this. Reach Shadow Ball. Now, how much energy does their own Skarmory have? Oh, they go for Night Slash, though. Oh, but I think they're going to at least reach a Night Slash here. Let's see. Is this Night Slash or is this Shadow Ball? This is Shadow Ball, which puts it well within Sky Attack range. And it's a charge attack priority. And Vincent at the last second sneaks away to win game number 2 to even up the series. 1 game apiece. And this decisive game 3 will decide who goes on to the grand finals on the winner's side. Here we go. Game Bird versus Vincent, representing Taiwan. I believe there ended up being about 220 Worlds qualified trainers from all over the world. And uh-oh, we've got the Annihilate Mirror again, but a slightly different backline this time. And losing the charge attack priority. Going to shield and successfully shielded a Shadow Ball. That's nice. Going for the Night Slash bait. Will we see the shield? Yes, we will. Oh, and the boost! Gets the Night Slash boost. And will this boost lift this trainer to victory? Knows this is just a Night Slash. Opposing trainer is just going for the reliable damage. Now going for the Shadow Ball because expects, since the opponent knows they boosted, they're just going to go straight Night Slash. But no, they land the Shadow Ball. Look at this damage. Going for another Shadow Ball here. Is the opponent going to respect it? Yes, they are. They're going to respect it. And they're going to get the spark down. So it's not over yet. Comes in with Cresselia, of course. It's Lickitung in the back. Lickitung has a lot of play here, but simply the fact that you're down a shield makes this really difficult. I don't know if Lickitung, as bulky as it is, as strong of a Pokemon as it can be, has enough in the tank to carry its way to victory here. Lickitung going to do everything it can to try and fight to a win condition. Licking away. Another Moonblast coming through. And still has a shield to hide behind, so that could be pivotal in this end game. Lickitung going to fire off another charge attack right before that Grass Knot. but this is not enough to knock out. Grass Knot coming through. And remember, that opposing Lantern has a lot of energy, but this Lantern on the side of Gamebird still has a Protect Shield, and 2 Thunderbolts isn't even enough to knock out. You need a lot of Sparks as well. So this looks like a pretty safe situation for Gamebird, and I think we can call this Game Bird. Does that make any sense? Thunderbolt coming through. Little Lantern on Lantern crime. And this is going to deliver the knockout. One more spark does the trick, lifting Gamebird to the grand finals. And now you see Vincent's name appear again in the dusk time. You might be wondering, what's this? Well, Vincent went on to win in the losers finals. So now we have a rematch in the grand finals. Now Vincent, as the losers on the loser side, would have to not only beat Gamebird once, but would have to then beat Gamebird again in another best of 3 to then win the entire tournament. And yes, even though this is the grand finals, it's best of 3 still in this Taiwan regional tournament. So here we go. Grand finals, best of 3 to decide your champion. But congratulations, at this point, both of these trainers qualified for the World Championships in Hawaii. So claps to them. And here we go. Umbreon versus Skarmory. Neutral matchup, and with Skarmory out of the picture, if you're Gamebird, you might be fine just staying in here, right? Because once Skarmory is gone, Cresselia looks awfully safe. Of course, Lickitung, I guess, is a little bit scary. So there's that thought as well. But looks like they landed a Brave Bird and then dipped into Whiscash, but Whiscash is going to be met by the Cresselia. And you know, this isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world, because if Whiscash loses here, which it likely will, you can then come in with Skarm, use your remaining health on Skarm to clean up the Cresselia, maybe get a big Steel Wing down or something to that effect. Because I don't think Cresselia can actually Psycho Cut. Oh, wait, what? Blizzard? Wait, what? Am I seeing things correctly? Blizzard Whiscash? No way, dude. What on earth? Blizzard Whiscash? No. No, dude. I'm freaking out. In my caster pamphlet for this regional, I wasn't given this information. Holy cow. Blizzard Whiscash. Foul play. Shielded. Annihilate's going to come out of here with a lot of energy. Foul play coming through again. Going to chip this Annihilate. Gets a big counter down. The thing is, we know there's a Skarmory in the back, and Skarmory just has such little play against that Lantern. Cresselia is probably going to get the final Protect Shield here, and I think this Lantern is just going to be too much to handle. They're probably not going to shield the first one, right? Because you don't want to play the lose condition of like a boost. Oh. Okay. I think got the Night Slash bait there, so now you might land the Shadow Ball. Hold up. I might be speaking too soon. Lands the Shadow Ball. And Skarmory doesn't have a move yet. Huge overfarm for the Lantern. And I think they might actually have Thunderbolt plus Surf already. Yep, they have the Surf. This is going to knock out the Annihilate a little bit close there in the end. But Lantern is going to clean up like Lantern does. And now Gamebird is 1 away from taking the Taiwan Regional Championship. Here we go. Annihilate into Altaria, a negative matchup. So going to pivot immediately into Cresselia, and it appears there's no Skarmory on Vincent's side. Otherwise, they probably would have gone straight into Skarmory here. So getting away with the Cresselia safe swap. Landing the Moonblast already. Immediately, this has gone from a bad lead to not so bad looking of a situation. They're staying in. They go for the Moonblast of their own. And you're outpacing, getting off another Moonblast, and now all of a sudden Vincent is the one on the back foot. This Moonblast will threaten to knock out, grabs the shield. Altaria is approaching a charge attack, gets it off at the last second. Honestly, you might even live a Sky Attack here. Is there any way you live? Oh my gosh, lives the Sky Attack and gets off the Moonblast. Cresselia, trained to perform. And then a one mud shot knocks out the Cresselia, but Annihilate gets the alignment in a very solid matchup here. Maybe a slight mistake throwing a little too late from the Whiscash, unless they're going for that Blizzard again. Are they just going for the Blizzard Hail Mary here? Oh, gosh. They're going for the Scald, and they get the debuff. It's their own Annihilate in the back, but ahead a little bit of energy. You can safely go for the Shadow Ball here. And wait a sec. Okay, no, never mind. I thought that was a charge attack priority, but I was like, wait, the other one won the charge attack priority before. I was confused. Anyway, Annihilate going to fire off the Shadow Ball, knocks out. So the game's not over yet because the Whiscash is still there, but it's very low. So the game's not over yet. Shadow Ball does get correctly shielded. Big shield call from Gamebird. Gamebird Gaming. Oh, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. Whiscash is going to Blizzard because they're running Scald Blizzard. Because they're not running Mud Bomb. Because that's why they didn't counter swap into the Lantern in that previous matchup we saw, where I was awfully confused. And many of the comments at this point in the video have probably addressed this and have probably either in 50% a respectful manner, 50% an enraged fury of, I can't believe Rise to Occasion, also known as Chris Reisman, the commentator, has not recognized this at this point. Took him a few minutes. But the clarity has opened my eyes to that previous matchup of why that occurred. But all that aside, it doesn't matter. Because you know what does matter? Gamebird TW is your Taiwan regional champion. And did it in style. And is going to Honolulu, Hawaii to compete in the 2024 World Championships. Congratulations to Gamebird. And congratulations to Vincent as well on getting a spot. Definitely some unique teams. And the Blizzard Whiscash is crazy as well from Vincent's side. So congratulations to all involved. Once again, thank you to Gamebird for entrusting me with showcasing their battles. And it was very fun. Sorry it took me so long to get to them. But we got there eventually. And I hope you guys enjoyed this content. So if you did, make sure to leave a like on the video. Comment down below. All comments are appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And all that said, thank you so much for watching. I very much hope to see you in the next one. Peace.